covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute Insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Hatch sitting in for calling high school football games, Jeremiah Jensen. He'll be calling the games today, games tomorrow, state championships next week. So maybe we'll get him back at some point. But Jake, nice enough to hang out today. That's awesome. Thank you, Jake.
Thanks for the invite.
Appreciate it. We get to do quite a few hours during the football season together anyway. Hey, we're going to be down at the Cafe Rio on Saturday.
Yep, 7 o'clock.
Come down and get your frame up. They still do that?
Some of them do it, some of them don't.
No, you got to it's classic. You got to bring it back.
Back in the day, remember that punch card and everything?
Oh,
you
yeah.
filled it up and like, free meal.
Double meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, my move is double meat on the carne asada quesadilla. Because I'm, watching my figure, so I'm going a lot of low.
Yeah, sure.
I eat the meat out of that thing, man.
Yeah.
Got it. That's my move. We'll be down there right before pregame, or during pregame.
Yeah, come on down, say hi on your way through.
Joining us on the program right now, our program brought to you by G2G Bars, as always. An awesome protein bar. Check it out. Give it a shot yourself. He is Steve Bartle, as the intro just mentioned. He is our Ute Insider for KSLSports.com. Steve, thanks for doing extra work today, man. I saw you in here with Scotty. I appreciate you taking some time with us, man.
Oh, yeah, no problem. That's why they pay us.
Yeah, listen.
To put in these hours.
Oh, they're like, what do you do for your job? When you try to explain to people, and then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, so you're working real hard, buddy. You're like, no, it's hard work. It's a lot of hours. And they're like, you're talking about sports. Get out of my face. I'm an accountant. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start off with what this quarterback situation is right now with the Liz Frank injury, which it was confirmed that it was a Liz Frank tear, right? And so Brandon Rose is going to be out for the season. There's going to be a surgery goes along with that. And on top of losing Brant Kuithe for the year, obviously that was a massive one. And have they mentioned what the exact nature of that injury was? Did they say, was it was it just was it the same knee? What did we find out about Brant Kuithe's injury?
So with Brandon, let's start there first because I think that's the hot topic today, right?
Sure.
We found out on Tuesday that Brandon suffered a season-ending injury and that it was a Liz Frank injury. It was a bit of, I guess, misunderstanding in terms of when that took place in the game on Saturday. But Brandon Rose's mother tweeted out today some more details into when that happened. It happened before half. And, just kind of the immediate reaction, to that tweet. And obviously, it's gut-wrenching to any sort of injury. But that sort of injury, like, for whatever reason, you hear Liz Frank, and you just kind of, you get the chills a little bit because it's a brutal one. But I think it's important to understand that this is an injury that, it's not like an ACL or like a broken bone or like an Achilles rupture where it's obvious, right? Where you can clearly tell that this is a Liz Frank injury. If you look into it, it's actually a very small, detailed, ligament, and it can get misdiagnosed as a mouse brain. And I'm not saying that's what happened. But, they didn't have it confirmed that it was a Liz Frank injury until Monday because it takes imaging and it takes, MRIs and that sort of thing to diagnose. So, regardless, I know people that have played with that and it's very painful and, can do a lot of harm to your foot. So the fact that Brandon Rose played that game, it speaks to his willingness to put it on the line for his teammates. And I think it says a lot about Brandon that he was willing to do that. It says a lot about that game and how much he was willing to give up to continue to compete in that game. And it says a lot that his teammates responded to him getting the start in the manner that they did Brendan is a kid that, he's had every opportunity to leave the program, and he's stuck with it. He's, I'm sure it hasn't been easy, but he's just continued to put in the work, and that garners respect. And he had that respect from his teammates. When they went out, they played hard for him, and I think Brandon realized that as, and I think just his decision to, I shouldn't say decision because I don't know, but I assume that, he wanted to continue to play on Saturday night, and I think that says a lot about him. So obviously he's tough, but this situation for the second time this year, it's another quarterback that's played through a game with what turns out to be a season-ending injury, and that's tough. So that's tough with Brant. I have not gotten any sort of update as to what his injury is. So no word on the specifics of that just yet with him. But with this quarterback situation now with Brandon Rose out, unfortunately, and with that Liz Frank, it's typically a 6 to 8 month recovery timeline. So that's going to be important to keep in mind with him as we move into the more off-season conversation. But with him out of the picture, obviously Isaac Wilson, he's started multiple games this season. He's played well, and he struggled. And for him, I think this is a great opportunity to get back into the driver's seat and to, hopefully, I hope that he took advantage of the opportunity to kind of, be quarterback two again, to sit behind Brandon Rose, to see the team perform, to reset a little bit. It's not that he's injured or anything like that, but the bumps and bruises kind of take its toll on a true freshman more so than, an upperclassman would. And so for him, how refreshed does he look in terms of his health? And then also just his play and the fundamentals and his ability to execute. Obviously, that's going to be a key for Utah moving into Saturday. And that conversation with Colorado, he's going to be put back into the starting job, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, so Steve, this is hindsight, obviously, but is there some part of you that would have liked to have seen Isaac maybe come into that game in the second half, considering it would stand to reason that the Utah staff knew the injury and the extent of what they were dealing with regards to Brandon Rose?
Yeah, again, we don't know exactly what they knew, right? And
sure.
I think, Liz Frank, like I was saying, it's not an obvious injury to diagnose, right? It can be in some situations, but it also can be, and key to that is a player's ability to communicate exactly what he's feeling, and the medical team to diagnose what they're seeing. Again, with the Liz Frank, MRI imaging is important to that, to diagnose it. So it's hard to say that they knew exactly what it was. I don't think we can, to be honest. But I do think, just given the drop-off in terms of, now it makes sense why the offense struggled, right?
Sure.
When you go back to that game, now it makes sense, now that we know what we know. And, certainly if they had an understanding that Brandon Rose was in pain at the very least, and that he was, that there were, meds provided essentially to help him cope with that pain, I think there should have been, at least a conversation. I don't know if those took place or not, but I think it would have made a lot of sense to give Isaac an opportunity in that game, for sure.
Steve, one of the things that we were chatting with one of our Denver sports counterparts, Jake Shapiro, about this Buffaloes team, that, he's a guy who has covered that team. He's also been on Team Prime for a while, going, this guy's going to turn it around, and we never believed him. What is Colorado doing this year that, they have never been close to doing, it seems like, over the past few years? They're not just competitive. They are, in that solitary second place in the Big 12 and on their way to a Big 12 championship appearance if they can take care of business. What is it that Colorado's doing this year that you're like, wow, I can't believe that the Buffaloes are doing this?
Man, I tell you what, this contributes to my point, but being a Chargers fan with Jim Harbaugh taking over that team, and this is mostly the same team that was here last year. It's mostly the same team, and that team under Brandon Staley struggled immensely. And yet here the Chargers are, 6-3 now, and playing really good football. And you watch these videos, you listen to these clips of Jim Harbaugh, and just the unwavering belief that he has in his players, has really made it seems to have made a significant difference in, a lot of these individuals and how they're performing collectively as a group. And with Prime, the one thing you could not deny was his confidence and the belief that he had, in his players, in himself, in his ability to turn things around. And, you look at this group now, and obviously it takes talent, it takes depth, and they certainly have top-tier talent in Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. But, with the way that they've gone about rebuilding this roster and it raised a lot of questions, about, does this work? Is this the right way to do it? The end result is that, they have more depth and they have more talent on that roster. And so this is a group that, there's been a bit of a circus around them, but at the end of the day, you've got a quarterback playing really good football. You've got a dynamic talent in Travis Hunter making an impact on both sides of the ball. And you've got the rest of this team, buying into what they're being coached to do, believing more that they're difference makers. And you're just seeing that take hold with this Colorado team. And, they're just playing better football than they were, a couple months ago. It's cleaner. They have a better idea. They still don't run the ball very effectively, but in terms of pass protection and that sort of stuff, it's come along. It's come, and the defense side of the ball, it's come along as well. But it's really Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter leading the way for those guys, and the rest of the team just, buying into the culture there and the mindset that Coach Prime has tried to instill in that group, and they're just playing good football.
All right, Steve. So as they head to Colorado here, I believe that the defense will continue to do what it's been doing, and that's playing it at an elite level. What do they do offensively? Do you essentially tell Mekhi Bernard and Mikey Mitchell, DeJohn Stanley, et cetera, you tell them, guys, buckle those chin straps up. We're going to have to run it down their throat time and time again. What's the offensive game plan to come out with a victory?
Yeah, man, I wish I had the answer to that. I'd certainly send it.
We'd all get paid more if we had that, huh?
Yeah, But look, I think the defense. I think you're spot on there, Jake. That the defense, look, this defense under Morgan Scalley, it's going to continue. This group is going to play well, and so it's just going to be important for the offense to provide some production as well. And so, how do you do this? Obviously, it's going to be the same keys that have been kind of consistent all season long. Is Utah's got to find a way to produce through the air. They've got to find a way to force defenses to honor the threat of the pass so that it can preserve space at the line of scrimmage, at the second level for the running game to produce, because that's where Utah has to butter their bread with this group, with this unit. It's going to be important for them to manufacture some looks through the air and dictate opportunities for Isaac Wilson and where to go with the ball and that sort of stuff. But I think too with Isaac, like, we all know that he has talent, and we know that he has confidence in that willingness to compete, and he believes in his ability, and he has that sort of gunslinger mentality. And perhaps maybe that's just what this offense needs. After a week off, 2 weeks off with the bye and then sitting last week, if Isaac can kind of regain that confidence and that gunslinger mentality and just let it rip, right? And obviously, maybe that's not conducive to protecting the football, but I think, what else do you have to lose? I mean, you got to take shots, because otherwise you're just going to be banging your head against the wall with the run game. And that's just kind of where this offense is. But yeah, with Mekhi, with Dijon, with Mike Mitchell, you got to hope that they're able to create some different looks, some opportunities for all three of those guys because they have to do the heavy lifting for the offense for sure.
Steve Bartle, he's our Ute insider for KSLSports.com. You can read his byline there. Of course, anything Utah related, Steve's going to be the number one guy to go to. So go over to our website there. Follow Steve on all the socials and make sure you follow along.
And listen to the Utah Blogcast, by the way.
Absolutely.
Keanu Tanavasa was awesome
Phenomenal.
this week, Steve.
A good video too. You clean up nice.
Great.
You clean up nice, Steve. I thought it was good. That was good.
Appreciate that.
And by the way, if people haven't seen that Keanu Tanavasa interview, it's phenomenal, and he really gives good perspective on last week's game and kind of where the team's at right now. So it's really, really phenomenal. So, all right, Steve, we'll cut you loose here, man. Thanks for hanging out.
All right, appreciate you, fellas.
There you go. Weird time to cover the Utes, man.
Oh,
right?
Sure. And here's the thing. It's almost unprecedented what they're going through right now.
Yep.
If they lose on Saturday, that'll be 6 straight losses. Kyle Whittingham's never lost 6 straight as the head coach at Utah. He's had a 5-gamer. It was 2013. I think they had the 5-game losing streak in that run. But he's never lost 6 straight games as the head coach at Utah. So we're verging on like history that you don't want to make if you're a Utah football player right now. And it's Steve, and I got to give Steve credit. Like, he's done a really good job breaking things down, being pretty fair, I think it is, an analysis of this. And it's going to be tough sledding because that Colorado team's brimming with confidence right now. Like Shedeur Sanders, they've got 2 guys who are bona fide Heisman Trophy candidates. Dion, or Coach Prime, as most people call him, has proven everybody wrong. Like, remember, he was a walking punchline. Alex.
But what's interesting is that we brought up, like, hey man, Coach Sanders is really with Jake Shapiro, and he goes, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that like he's a phenomenal coach, but he's a great CEO of the program. That's the way he put it, right? He goes, he's a great CEO of the program.
He has brought guys in. So Pat Shurmur's offensive coordinator, has done a really good job with Shedeur Sanders. You look at, we talk about Robert Livingston, who's like been a revelation at defensive coordinator. Dion's not coaching, like he's not in there getting guys' faces. All right, this is what you're gonna do technique-wise. He's a CEO. That's the perfect description for him. But he's done a really good job about bringing apparently the right people and getting them in place here to have the season that they're having at this point.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got our NFL Blitz coming up. You don't want to miss any of that. We're going to have we got all sorts of things to still jump into. Don't want to miss any of it. We've got a good best and worst as well. You don't want to miss. So stay right here. We're getting you ready here. We're walking you up to Utah Jazz basketball that's coming up at 6:00 pregame. The coach Tim Lacombe and of course Jake Scott going to be guiding you through on the SEG Radio Network. And we'll come right back. More to go. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Hatch sitting in for Jeremiah Jensen, who just called the final call of the Lone Peak and Skyview. Skyridge. Skyview's up in...
Skyview's coming up tomorrow in the 4A semifinals.
Right. Skyridge, Lehigh on Alpine Action. Right?
Well, here's the thing about it is...
Lehigh on... So you had 2 teams from the city of Lehigh. And then you had...
A team from Draper.
And a team from, I guess, Highland is where Lone Peak is, technically.
It's in Highland, correct.
I mean, 3.5 square miles, 10.5 square miles of the toughest football in the entire state.
And now you got Lone Peak taking on Corner Canyon, and there's like one miniature mountain separating them.
Yeah, there you go. The battle, it's the battle for the quarry at the point of the mountain. So your 6A final is set. Lone Peak just defeated Skyridge. And so last year's championship was Skyridge versus Corner Canyon. Corner Canyon ended up coming out on top with Isaac Wilson at the QB spot, right?
Yep.
So, and then a heartbreaker for Lehigh today. They were leading that thing with 38 seconds left. They go to overtime. They end up, Corner ends up sending it to overtime, and then they get their PAT blocked in overtime, and it ended up a 35-34 win for Corner Canyon over Lehigh. So, bummer for the Lehigh guys, but, man, Corner Canyon, tough to dethrone those champs, man. They are really freaking good. So, there you go. All right. NFL Blitz, you know what that music means. It's all brought to you by the folks at Trajan Wealth for all of your local, trusted financial fiduciary and retirement needs. Trajan Wealth, Trajan Wealth.com. That's TrajanWealth.com. Okay. NFL Blitz. The Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles facing off tonight in a rare Thursday night football good game.
That actually looks good, yeah.
That I actually want to watch.
Yeah.
I will happily go home and watch that game versus some of the crap that we've gotten on Prime over the season. So the Commanders and the Eagles, that's actually a battle for that NFC East. Like these could be the two teams. These are the two teams that are serious contenders in that one. And frankly, I love a good story. And Jaden Daniels is a freaking amazing story this year. He's just been phenomenal. And I love Saquon Barkley going from the Giants to the Eagles, like all that stuff. And I grew up hating all those teams because, I never liked the NFC East. But I like this matchup, and I'd love to see the Commanders just absolutely kick the trend of not being very good and immediately changing their franchise with a franchise quarterback in Jaden Daniels.
Well, yeah, Jaden Daniels, here's the thing about it is they have changed ownership, and suddenly, they're back to being, a competent franchise. Daniel Snyder was a stain on what has been a pretty healthy and strong franchise in the NFL for many, many decades. But you look at it, Alex, the start they've had this season, the closest thing to it was 96 before Daniel Snyder bought the team. He held them down for so long. Remember, he was charging his team to use the plane, nickel and dime and everything. He complained constantly about who knows what. So, yeah, props to the Commanders, and I'm here for it. It's cool to see them doing their thing. Now, I still think they don't have the right nickname for them because there's been talk about them switching that again, but they're not going to go back to what they used to be, so we'll see what happens. But they're off to a good start.
You saw that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes had their homes broken into.
Yeah.
Looks like the weekend of October 7th.
Why did it take so long for this to come out, by the way?
I think because they wanted to make sure people didn't know. Like, I think it's a weird thing, first of all, to talk about these professional athletes who most of the time, like, if people know where they live, word gets around and whatever. They might be in a gated community, all that stuff, whatever. But when they hit the road and they start playing games, and people go, hey, they're not even going to be here.
Yeah.
This was a weird one because it was actually a home game that weekend. Uh-huh. But obviously the teams actually get together and stay at hotels.
Correct.
Going usually that Friday and Saturday, kind of going into that weekend. But yeah, Travis Kelce said that about $21,000 worth of items, including $20,000 in cash.
Yeah. So what did they take that was worth $1,000? I'm sure there were some other valuables in there, but they just took the money and ran, literally.
Yeah, $20,000 in cash, just sitting around the house, I guess. But Patrick Mahomes, I think he may have gotten hit pretty hard because they aren't talking about. He's like, yeah, I won't talk about like all the stuff that got taken, but obviously it's disappointing. It's weird, man. People suck. People absolutely stink, man. And I don't even like the Chiefs, but who wants to hear that people lay in wait for professional athletes to go out on the road or to not be at home while they're preparing for a game so they can start, they steal stuff from their house. It's freaking weird, man.
Yeah, it's happened in the LA area to a number of Dodgers and Angels players, if I recall correctly, of late. We saw Dan Campbell have to literally move houses.
Yeah, because he got doxxed, man.
Doxxed.
So dumb.
He's the Lions head coach. So people are dumb out there. So let's be a little better to each other.
Look, I don't like that. I don't like.
Sound like an old host of this afternoon slot, Gordon Monson.
I'm one of these guys that wants to actually see the Chiefs lose every game the rest of the season.
Well, they keep winning.
I know, but I don't like to see this kind of crap. Yeah. All right, here we go. Speaking of the Chiefs, Harrison Butker is going to be on the IR. He's getting that meniscus fixed, man.
Yes, there was actually a video somebody put up of him. He's been kind of like. His left knee, which is his plant leg in terms of being a right-footed kicker, has been buckling a lot this year. And apparently, they're not sure if it's been a longer-term issue, but he's finally having the surgery on it. Now, Spencer Schrader, who has been on the practice squad for the New York Jets, who have a fairly tenuous kicking situation themselves, he is being signed off of that practice squad to be the interim kicker while Butker is out. It's supposed to be 4 to 5-ish weeks, I guess, all told. And apparently, I was reading this to you in the break, Alex. The Jets reached out to Schrader and said, "Hey! Before you go to the Chiefs,
This is wild to me.
we're happy to put you on the 53-man roster if you want to stick around."
And?
What did Spencer Schrader say?
No thanks.
Thanks, but I'm going to go play for the undefeated Chiefs. No offense to y'all.
Like,
but
even if he...
I'm out.
Even if he goes back...
Yeah.
And, I mean, even if let's say that he kicks for 4 weeks,
Yeah.
right? Because how long do you... IR means you're at least gone 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's a minimum of 4 weeks to go on IR.
Let's say that it's 5 weeks that he kicks for him.
Okay.
And then Harrison Butker, obviously, they're gonna give him the spot back as soon as he's good to go.
Yeah.
But like this guy goes, I kicked for 5 weeks for the Chiefs, and I got myself a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, if
Boom.
they win it, he'll be on. And by the way, he'll probably revert back to the practice squad. He'll still be around
Don't care.
Kansas City.
Don't care.
Yeah.
Not playing for the Jets.
Yeah.
Did you say not playing for the Jets? I'm there.
See ya. I'll be on the next flight out. All right.
And then it comes out the next day, Aaron Rodgers being like, I never liked that guy anyway.
Yeah. Well, Aaron Rodgers apparently.
I was one of those guys that wanted him not. He wasn't a team guy, obviously. So we don't want, this isn't for everybody. Just all the stuff that Aaron Rodgers says that makes him keep digging those holes. The Raiders are going to stay with Gardner Minshew at starting quarterback. You know why? Because if you lose a bunch of games in the NFL, you get really good draft picks. And Gardner Minshew is going to carry you to the land of not winning very many games if you're Raiders fans. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do. There's no way. I don't know. Does their head coach keep his job through the end of the season?
Oh, man.
Because I think that's what one of the things that Jake Shapiro said, right? He goes, yeah, the Raiders' job could probably open up. And he's like, ooh, yeah.
He talked about Carolina, Dallas, and the Raiders.
And the
job.
Raiders, man.
Now, that would be interesting. Now, Antonio Pierce, he seems like he's in over his head, but that's my personal opinion on the matter. If Jerry Jones does make a change with Mike McCarthy, can he really ignore Deion Sanders? Like, can he legitimately do that and have his fan base want to riot?
I think it would be absolutely so dumb to get Prime in there as a head coach.
It would be, but I'm telling you, they're gonna be Cowboys fans.
You got to get one of our guys in here.
Exactly.
He could be in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Bring him in. And then they also think, and if that means we can get Shadur Sanders.
Play for the Cowboys? Was it one season?
Oh no, I think it was a couple.
Okay,
at least
it was one with the Niners. I know that. Let's see. Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, most of his career with the Falcons, but yeah. Did you find it out?
Yeah, I am still looking at that right now.
He
played.
I'm going to say
actually,
3 seasons.
4 seasons.
4 seasons.
95 to 99. He played for the Niners in 94 and then went to the Cowboys.
So
for
he
4
won
seasons.
that title, and he won that one title with the Cowboys then in 95.
Was it 95? 95, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll take the break here. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up for you and get you ready for the Utah Jazz pregame. It's all coming up. We'll have our best and worst, so stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
Best and worst brought to you by an incredible selection of Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram. Visit the Doug Smith family of dealerships in Linden and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how. Nobody knows like Doug. The best is Lindsey Vonn at 40 years old, coming out of retirement after 6 years since the last Olympics, 5 years since she professionally skied for Team USA. She's coming back. I love these types of stories, Jake.
I hope she pulls it off because skiing is as they say, a young person's sport because it does murder on your body what these athletes do. But
what?
Here's the thing. Lindsey Vonn was the best in the world in her heyday, and obviously Michaela Schifrin's kind of taken that mantle. But if she can pull off some wins, that'd be an incredible comeback story. There's no doubt.
My wife's a pretty darn good skier. She was a professional ski instructor for a while.
Oh, good for her.
And they went up to Snow Basin. They went up to where the downhill was held, and she's like, "Dude, I thought I'd skied some pretty hard stuff in my life, but
they are."
When you look down those slopes, you were like, I can't believe people can even be up here.
They
it's
routinely
wild.
are topping like 50 and 60 miles an hour in some of those sections,
Wild.
and when you see them wipe out, it's terrifying.
Yeah. That's the definition of ski sail right there.
Yeah.
And the worst is, oh man, Florida State, the hits keep coming.
Oh, geez, what now?
So they've had 6 decommits from Florida State in their 2025 recruiting class. That's next year, by the way.
Like the class of
4 stars plus.
Oh.
They've had 6 decommits.
Well,
not good for Mike Norvell and his guys.
When are they 1-9, 1-10 at this point, whatever they are?
Yeah, I think 1-8, maybe 1-9 after that loss to.
Good luck. And the crazy thing is they were undefeated at the end of the regular season last year.
Yep. All right, give us an idea who's out for the Mavericks tonight versus the Jazz.
Obviously, that's coming up here at the top of the hour. Real quick, Luka Doncic is available to play tonight, but Kyrie Irving, P.J. Washington, and Dante Exum, the former Jazzman, all will be out for tonight's game.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There is a chance. Contain Luka.
Walker Kessler also out again for this one. Anybody else for the Jazz who are not going to be playing this game?
I believe Walker's the only one of note, I believe.
Oh, and of course the Taylor Hendricks, yes. Also going to be out for a while.
That's a season-long deal. So.
Yeah, out. All right. We'll be back again tomorrow, a Football Friday edition of the program. Riley Nelson's going to join me. Mitch Harper's going to join me. The guys are going to still call those games up on the hill. Many thanks to our producer, Alex, and, of course, Jake. Thanks, man. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it.
Happy to do it anytime, my
man. We'll be back. Jake and I will be back on Saturday together for our Cougar pregame
7:00
show down at Cafe Rio in Provo, so join us then. All right, we're going to take the break here. We'll leave it to the Utah Jazz pregame show. Tim Lacombe and Jake Scott next, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.